Ever wonder what would happen if you got hit by a train? Here's some quick thoughts from an ER doc.
If I took you and I strapped you on the hood of your car and I drove 70 miles an hour, you would be scared to death. So a baseball, if I'm sitting in my car and somebody throws a 55 mile an hour fastball at my driver's side window and it hits my window, the window's going to break. If a train, thousands of times the mass of that baseball, hits me at the same speed, the energy is so much greater. That's what makes people 20 times more likely to die. The speed is the same, but the mass is what makes the energy so much worse. In motor vehicle collisions, whether it's involved with another car, whether it's involved with a train or a solid object, what happens is we have three phases of deceleration. If you're traveling 70 miles an hour and you slam into a train, the first thing that stops is that car. But the laws of physics, Newton's first law of physics says a body in motion or at rest tends to stay in motion or at rest until acted on by an outside force. And what that means is when that car comes to a stop, you're still traveling 70 miles an hour. Seatbelts and airbags are designed to make you stop at the same time that car stops. That helps you ride down the safety features of the car. Now, the third phase of deceleration is the reason we can't save all the people that we like to save in automobile crashes, and that's because your internal organs are still traveling 70 miles an hour. It only takes a split second to lose control of the vehicle. Tragically, at my level 1 trauma center, we had that happen not too long ago. Some young kids were driving down I-49 and just briefly were distracted and their front tires pulled off of the road. When they did, they overcorrected, turned, and we had several deaths. Strictly because of the energy that's involved when a high-speed train hits a car, the energy is so severe that a lot of times, as I mentioned, everything in that vehicle moves towards the principal direction of force. That force is so severe, a lot of times people are thrown clear of the vehicle. People are thrown through, you may be the driver of a car and thrown through the backside window. You may be the passenger of a car and thrown through the sunroof. You are thrown out of that vehicle. You know, the hardest thing that I do, the hardest part of my job is to go out to that family room and tell a family that the healthy young child that left the house that day is never coming home. And that happens all too frequently at a level 1 trauma center. Nobody ever thinks it's going to happen to them. Nobody leaves the house that day. Nobody comes into my trauma center and says, gee, I thought today's the day I was going to die. Everybody thinks it's going to happen to somebody else. But the truth of the matter is, the statistics show it does happen. There are a lot of things that you can do to prevent that.
Stay tuned to see how you can avoid being a statistic. Look to live.